Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Zenitton, and welcome to today's video for Legends of Runeterra. Today, what are we going to be doing? We have a balance patch coming. This is going to be the balance patch that the upcoming seasonal tournament should be played on. Riot themselves, though, have said that while the intent is for the seasonals to be played on this balance patch, uh, they haven't thrown out the possibility of a hot fix. But we're going to be going over the balance patch, talking about some of the changes, what these changes might mean, uh, buffs, nerfs, etc., and some changes that aren't here that I would have liked to have seen. There's one very big one very big deck that kind of somehow dodged nerfs, which I'm a little scared of, and a lot of people are kind of upset that this deck didn't get nerfed. I'm talking about Nami, basically. We'll talk about that more as we go through the changes. So there's a lot of stuff to go through, not just like basic stats or mana changes. There's actual full-on reworks too, with some of the specifically Daybreak stuff and more. So let's go and look at the cards. Okay, so patch 3.16.0. It's a pretty good patch. So overall, we saw this image earlier in the week, I think back on last Saturday or so, maybe Friday. And it told us what was being changed, nerfs and buffs, and they forgot to include a couple of things. Basically, Oren and Target's Peak were also in these changes. Oren getting buffed, Target's Peak getting nerfed. But we now know all of the changes and what they exactly do. So let's start off with the Daybreak stuff. So Leona. I'm having a hard time evaluating the Daybreak buffs overall. But Leona, what is Leona doing now? First off, she got her mana increased up to 5. That kind of sucks in all honesty. Leona was pretty much the 4-drop slot of Daybreak decks. You might say like, so it's Solari Sunforger. Solari Sunforger only kind of felt good if you were one in Demacia, so you could use single combat to try to guarantee the lifesteal. And on top of that, the meta was kind of aggressive, so you actually cared about the lifesteal. If you don't care about the lifesteal, it's a 4 mana 5/4. That I guess activates Daybreak synergy. But Leona is now a 5 mana card, which that sucks. She is 1 mana more expensive, but now she has Challenger. So same stats, increased mana, but she has Challenger. Challenger is a very, very good keyword. That alone, I would say, is overall a buff. But that's not all Leona got. She also got a secondary buff, and that's on her level 2 form. She no longer has Overwhelm, which in all honesty, I'm fine with her losing Overwhelm. The Overwhelm barely mattered. It honestly just felt like a buff they gave to Leona because they were just trying to figure out, they were just throwing around stuff at a dartboard and trying to see what sticks. Now, though, she still has Challenger, but now when she Daybreaks, instead of just stunning the strongest enemy, now she will also get Barrier for the round. It's pretty big. I think this is really, really huge. Like, she's actually what I want now in a Targon deck for a grindy value kind of deck. Basically an Aurelion Soul deck is what I'm talking about here. I'll have my late game, which is, like Invoke stuff, Aurelion Souls, Trifecta, Star Shapings, whatever late game I choose. And the game plan is I'll use Leona and the Solari, her Daybreak followers, to try and slow my opponent down. Leona, especially level 2 Leona, will be able to pick off scary stuff. I'm pretty sure there's still no fast Daybreak. I mean, you could technically do fast Daybreak stuff with like Sunburst and Senna, I guess, but that's not really common or feasible. But yeah, I like this change a lot. I think overall it's a buff for her, like a very big buff. Yes, it does make the 4-drop slot awkward, but you can probably find other 4-drops, and if the meta's fast enough, just play Solari Sunforger anyway. So yeah, I like this change to Leona. Now, next up, we got 3 other Daybreak changes. A couple of them are pretty much completely reworked. First one is like actually just a complete rework. Sun Guardian. Used to be a 6 mana, 6/5. Give me +4/+4 and had Overwhelm, if I remember correctly. I think it was like a 4/4, not a 6/5. But according to this, it says a 6/5. No one played the card. 6 mana for just a big Overwhelm unit. You had to Daybreak, and it kind of just wasn't really doing much. Was not really worth it. Just too slow and easy to disrupt. Now what is it though? It's now a 3 mana 2/3 that says Daybreak, or when you activate another Daybreak, grant it +1/+1. So it's like Assembly Bot. If you don't know what Assembly Bot is the 3 mana 1/1 in P&Z that gets +1/+1 whenever you cast a spell. Grants +1/+1 to itself whenever you cast a spell. That card's not that good. Mostly because, like, small, cheap spell synergy is not that great for PNZ, or if it is, it's just too slow for Assembly Bot. I like it in things like Master Yi's and Victor's, but many people don't even know that card exists. I will say this, I do think this card is better than Assembly Bot. One, it buffs itself just by being summoned, if you Daybreak it, of course. So, if you Daybreak it, it's at least a 3/4. At least a Badger Bear that has growth potential. I will play that. And of course it activates Daybreak's energies. Like, all of these Daybreak cards activate Daybreak's energies. I probably shouldn't have to say that. I like the card. I think I would play 3 of these in my Daybreak decks. If I'm playing Leona, I'm probably playing 3 Sun Guardians. I think this card is just solid. I've seen some people say, like, well, what's the point of getting all these big stats if it doesn't have a keyword? I say that a lot too, like, oh, no Elusive, no Fearsome, no Overwhelm, whatever. I'm not looking at Sun Guardian to be aggressive. I'm looking at Sun Guardian to just both be solid defensively and just maybe occasionally attack in and force out a chump block to shrink my opponent's board. That's how I'm looking at Sun Guardian. So I like it. Just a solid statted unit. Just stats is what I like. And it does help fix one of Daybreak's problems, which is if you don't Daybreak your Daybreak cards, it feels pretty bad. If you don't Daybreak this card, it does feel bad, but if you just need to start developing more and more board, you can play it and then just Daybreak later and get more stats. Now the next card, Morning Light. I don't know if I think this is a buff or a nerf. I mean, they're labeling it as a buff, so Riot at least thinks it's a buff. The old Morning Light used to be a 5 mana, give your board +2/+2, activate all Daybreaks if you Daybreaked. Activate all your allies' Daybreaks if you also Daybreak as well. Now it's 3 mana, but your allies are only getting +1/+1. So cheaper, and the stat buff is smaller. Okay, whatever. For the Daybreak side, though, no longer has a Daybreak condition attached to it. Now, though, it just says activate an ally's Daybreak effect. So it's only getting 1 ally. So, is it good? Let me rephrase that. Is it better? The nice thing about it is it does let you 3 mana does let you curve out. I can go, like, if I can somehow bank mana early on, bank 3 mana, I can play, like, turn 5 Leona, Morning Light. That's another stun from Leona. I get all the other Daybreak effects that I have on my field as well. And my board gets +1/+1. Like, that seems pretty solid. I don't think I would play this as a 3-of, though. And of course, if I don't want Leona to get another stun, I could choose, like, maybe Solari Priestess or something. So, I like the card. I think it is solid. I think I'll just play 2 of it in my Daybreak decks. So, yeah, I'm a fan of it. That activate an ally, it's just hard to evaluate because of the whole activate an ally's Daybreak. Going from activating all Daybreaks to only 1 Daybreak is a big change and really hard to evaluate. But overall, I think it is better because cheap is good. Also, I guess maybe there's some synergy with, like, targeting stuff, like maybe a Tarek Leona deck or something? I don't know. And Solari Stellacorn, basically the punching bag, the card that everyone made fun of, I think last set when it came out. Basically, whenever this card came out, the set before the Darkened set Maybe it came out this set. I honestly can't remember because this card was so trash. I forgot about it after it came out. Basically, everyone made fun of this card. And it's like, Omega lol, this card's trash. It was trash. I still think it's not that good. Solari Stellacorn is a 4-mana 3/4 Daybreak. Give other allies +0/+2 this round. Used to be 5 mana 4/6 Daybreak, heal your allies by 3. Didn't heal Nexus. A lot of people theorize this was going to just heal Nexus as the buff. I'm not sure I like this buff. Overall, I think it's a buff, but it's still kind of a okay, just an okay stat line. Like, let me put it this way. What am I trying to do with this? Play it defensively? Is that what the game plan is? I don't think this is that. I mean, it's okay defensively, but first off, you have to hope your opponent plays into it, because Daybreak and stuff. Maybe with that 1 5-mana KDA spell, I can't remember the name of it, the one that says temporary buffs are basically permanent. That card alongside Solari Stellacorn's cute, but that's a complete meme of a card. I also don't like that it lost the Soraka synergy, Starspring synergy, whatever. Not like it really mattered, but still. I like that they're trying to not just like change some, fiddle around with some numbers, and they're trying a different effect, but I don't think this card's gonna see play. And I think we have one more Daybreak card. Yeah, we got Sunburst. Just a flat-out cost reduction. Sunburst is now 5 mana. I think this is insane. I've already seen some people doing the, it's technically a nerf. I get the joke. Yes, it feels bad that doesn't have any synergy with Jace's or Lux's anymore. Reggie, Pharaoh's Financier, can't find this anymore. That does feel bad, but come on, it's a buff. Look. While I agree that it does feel bad with all that stuff on all the scenarios I mentioned, overall, this is a buff. I think you should play this. The big problem I feel with this card is I think you have to care about the silence. Because if you don't care about the silence, I think your secondary region, Targan plus whatever, your secondary region is most likely having better removal. You know, like Vengeances, Concerted Strikes, etc., etc. Basically fast speed, good removal. But I think maybe in a Targan deck whose secondary region has not so good removal, like Ionia, like a Targan Ionia deck, you'll probably play these. It's a good spell. It's solid, I think. So yeah, overall, good buffs overall. The only one I'm really not a fan of is Stellacorn. I just think it's not really going to change anything. I think it's still going to just be unplayed. But Sunburst is good. Leona's really good. Sun Guardian's nice. Morning Light, I'm hesitant to say it's a good change, but I like it, and I think it might be playable. It's better than the Solari Stellacorn. I'm more high up on it than Solari Stellacorn change. Solari Stellacorn, I'm just whatever. Like, I guess you could say, oh, with Petricide Broadwing, Stellacorn's cute, but Broadwing's busted, so, you know, whatever. Anyway, some fearsome stuff. Nocturne. Nocturne now counts fearsomes along with Nightfall towards his level up. That's a pretty big buff. Not much to talk about here. Nocturne is pretty good when he levels up, but leveling him up has always been the problem. Will he be good still? I don't know. I think he'll be good not because of this buff, but because fearsomes in general seem to be getting buffed. I don't know. He feels solid now. Like, he actually feels like he'll level up quickly. Like, turn 5, I could even see turn 4 level up Nocturne. Maybe like a Elise Nocturne, Shadow Isles Allegiance to play the Mistwraith cards kind of deck. And Vilemaw. Vilemaw now is like half of a Lord. Fearsomes now have, other fearsomes have +1/+0. I don't think Vilemaw is playable still. Not because Vilemaw itself is a bad card. I think because it's just too difficult to get Vilemaw. Outside of RNG nonsense, of course, there's only really 2 ways to get Vilemaw. Twisted Treeline, which also got buffed to now include Nightfall allies as well. It seems like they're just trying to like fuse Nightfall and Fearsome together. The other one is the Vilemaw spell. I can't remember the name of it. It's like 3 mana. I think it's like 3 mana. If 3 allied units died this turn, summon Vilemaw. I think that's the card. it's also pretty bad. It's just too hard to activate consistently. And well, so I do think the Vilemall buff is pretty impressive and big. I just don't think the Vilemall cards, the cards that create Vilemall, are good enough. I think Twisted Tree Line is just too slow. I don't know, maybe I could see, like, I'm trying to think, like, I guess maybe there's a way you could get Vilemall on 3. You play like 3 1-mana Fearsomes, and then play a Tree Line and attack on 3, but that seems, just saying it out loud, sounds really inconsistent, so I don't think that's going to be that great. Next up, we got Tom. Not really a complex change here, just Acquired Taste. Acquired Taste, Tom has an Acquired Taste now when he's summoned. Pretty good. Feels like something Tom should have always had, but it's a pretty big buff. I still feel like the problem with Tom is being paired with Soraka. Having to be paired with Soraka kind of hurts him. Yes, you can argue, well, you can play him with other stuff like Braum or Ashe. Yeah, I mean, they're not great, though. So, I like this change. Maybe Tom Rocca will come back. I don't think Tom Rocca will come back. Homecoming, Ionia Tellstones is scary. Basically, removing Star Springs. Having Star Springs get removed by either bounce like Homecoming or removal like Scorched Earth just feels bad. And kind of makes it hard to actually win the game. Next up, Master Yi. Not much of a change here. The Master Yi change is what? Spell reduction is now permanent. This is actually what I thought he originally did when I first read Master Yi. I thought the spell reduction from Yi was permanent, and I actually said I think it would be busted if it was permanent. And then they went and made it permanent. So after playing with Yi, I've played Yi a lot since he came out because I really like the design of Yi. My biggest problem with Yi, there were a lot of problems with Yi. One problem was that it just felt like I was just better off playing Master or Lee Sin most of the time. Also, it just felt bad when, Yi would buff a spell and you don't want to cast a spell. And then it just feels like you're wasting the mana advantage that Yi is trying to give you. So now this change does fix that. It's like, oh boy, now that I don't feel bad for not playing my Deep Meditation and just passing and just buying more and more time. Or, wow, I don't feel bad that Master Yi hit like Deny and my opponent didn't play anything I want to deny. Also, if you're going to play against Master Yi now, you got to be careful of 3-mana denies, I guess. So that's terrifying, actually. So yeah, I can see a lot of people just slamming Yi on turn 3 and just trying to get as many mana discounts as possible. Glorious Evolution Master Yi with Disciple of Doran, maybe? Like Victor Yi? I played Victor Yi, Disciple of Doran, Glorious Evolution before. Wasn't the worst. Wasn't great, though. And Fiora, this card that a lot of people were scared of when Riot said they're going to buff it. I don't actually think it's that scary. Old Fiora was a 3-mana 3/2. Even older Fiora was a 3-mana 3/3. Most people thought she was just getting her nerf reverted and going to be a 3/3 again. They went and made her 4-mana and made her a 4/4. Would you rather have a 3-mana 3/3 Fiora or a 4-mana 4/4 Fiora? I personally would rather have a 3/3 Fiora for 3. My problem with 4-mana Fiora is it just, your hand, or not your hand, your curve just feels really awkward. I don't think mono Fiora will ever become a thing again. Like, sure, you can see it in, like, some people like to play mono Fiora for fun and get like a 25-30% win rate or something like that. Those kind of players will always be around there, whatever. But Shen Fiora, besides like mono Fiora, Shen Fiora is pretty much the only other Fiora deck. Yes, I know there were others like Fiora, Zoe, and others such things, but that was more just Targon was busted when Zoe Fiora was a thing. Sparklefly was like 2-mana 1/2, I think. What else? Veil Temple gave +1/+1, etc., etc. You can still technically play Shen Fiora. I just feel like it's going to be a little slower, but the trade-off is your Fiora's a little tankier. And you can still play 3-mana challengers if you want to play your Shen on 4. You just play like Laurent Protege, the 3-mana 2/4 challenger, I guess. So overall, I think this is a nice change. I think Shen Fiora will not become a top tier deck again, but maybe it'll become a tier 2 deck. Like, having your champion not die to Mystic Shot just feels so good. So yeah, I like it. Big fan of it. I think mid-range Ionia, Demacia, Fiora might become a thing, is what I'm trying to say. Plus, Shen himself has gotten some new cards and other such things, like Moral Supporter or whatever the 4-mana gets discount to 2-mana barrier card is. Next up, we got Swain. Big changes to Swain. First off, the only first change is +1/+0 to his stats, whatever. The major change is on level 2, he now has Overwhelm. That's terrifying. That's really, really terrifying. If Swain ever gets one hit, it's usually game. Like, if he ever gets a Nexus Strike, your opponent usually loses the game. Whoever is not playing Swain loses the game, basically. It's both good damage to the Nexus, and more importantly, it's usually a board wipe, just dealing 3 to all of their stuff. Now, though, with this change, I feel like you really, if you're going to play Swain, you really, really want to level him up on 5 or 6 whenever you attack. Now, here's the problem with Swain. My problem with Swain. I like him. I like the guy. I feel like no Swain deck can ever become a top tier deck as long as Ionia or Shadow Isle decks are around. Shadow Isle's mid-rangey control. Basically Vengeance piles. Swain getting hit by Vengeance or getting Homecoming or even Concussive Palmed is just so big nowadays, I think. I still think this change might make him tier 2, though, with maybe Bandle, like a Gnar Bandle, maybe Nora Bandle. Maybe we can try TF Swain again. I do think this change will be good, though. Next up, not much to talk about with this one. Allowee got 1 health again. Basically, she got her nerf revert. She never should have been nerfed, in my own honest opinion. It was all the only reason she got nerfed, I feel, was like because of Bard and to a lesser extent Tentacle Smash. So it is nice that she's getting her nerf reverted. I don't think this will change much. I don't think we'll see Allowee too much. Like, what Allowee deck is there? Allowee Lux? I don't really think that's going to change much. Maybe Allowee J4? Don't really think those kind of decks are going to be too good in the meta. Next up, we got Oren, our last buff here. His level up has been decreased. Now it only needs 8 instead of 10 damage. Cool, I guess. Like, I still think Oren is not that good. My problem with Oren is not even Oren himself. My problem with Oren is mostly Freljord just feels kind of mediocre nowadays. Outside of certain cards like, you know, Avalanches, Blighted Ravines, Ramp, etc. Mid-rangey, I don't even know what you want to call this, like, grindy mid-range? I don't want to say, like, it's not, you're not even getting a big win, like a win con, like a Overwhelm mid-range. I don't know, whatever you want to call this kind of mid-range. This slowish kind of mid-range is not that good. So yeah, I don't think Oren's gonna be too good, but maybe like with the Yi buff, maybe some kind of Oren Yi annoying kind of equipment deck, perhaps. Anyway, though, that's the buffs. Let's go and talk about the nerfs. I believe there are some more buffs later on, though, that are not champion related, or just not related to all the ones we've seen before. First off, we have Viego. He has gone up to 6 mana, but he's gotten +1/+1 as a basically a pity buff as well. But going to 6 mana is really annoying. It feels like to me this change is basically because of Evelyn. Evelyn Viego, I think Evelyn Viego, they saw the stats were just so good for a turn 4 Evelyn, turn 5 Viego was just so strong. So they nerfed it. I still think Mono Viego and Ionia Viego are okay, but I don't know, it's not that great. I'm still going to play Viego. I'm still going to play like Thresh Viego or Kindred Viego with Ionia. But I think this hurts Evelyn Viego the most. you know, the Viego deck that doesn't really have protection for Viego. Next up, just 2 reversions here. Hatespike's back to 2 mana. Mario the Storm is now only dealing 2 again. Not much here. Basically, it's them saying, like, yeah, we know these cards were just a little too good. We were trying to push them, and while we succeeded in pushing them, we pushed them a little too hard, so we're going to just revert them. I'm a fan of them reverting Mark of the Storm. Honestly, the Hatespike the Hatespike nerf reversion, whatever you want to call it, feels justified. Hatespike at 1 was just too good. I feel like the problem with Hatespike was just from spell mana alone, being able to play Hatespike and still hold up Glimpse was too good, or even a second Hatespike. So I do like it going back to 2 mana, and I'm saying that as a person who abused and used a lot of Hatespike myself. Now this next one, Sign-In. The only Ionia nerf, unless you want to call Mark of the Storm an Ionia nerf, which it technically is because Kennen. But Sign-In is the only Ionia nerf, I believe. Kind of wish they had nerfed more, because Nami Ionia kind of just made it unscathed through this balance patch, and Nami Ionia is probably most arguably the best deck in the game right now. And some of the decks that tried to beat it just got nerfed a lot too. Pirates and, to a lesser extent, Plunder and other such things. And I don't really see any of these cards that are being buffed dealing with Ionia Nami. Basically, I don't see Daybreak dealing with Ionia Nami, Tom Kench, etc., etc. The Sign-In nerf, sorry. It feels like a nerf to Ezreal Kennen, just Kennen in general. Feels bad for Ahri players too, because Ahri just takes a stray nerf because Sign-In was a very big part of Ahri decks, and going from 3-5 to 3-3 is a huge nerf. That 3-5, that big body on Sign-In just helps stonewall a lot of decks, and hurts a lot, especially for control players like Lux Karma players, and I usually play like 1 or 2 Sign-In in my Lux Karma decks, but I guess I'll go back to more deep meditations. And our aggro nerfs. Riptide Sermon got basically 2 nerfs in it. Instead of dealing 4, it only deals 3 now. And instead of dealing 2 to a Nexus, it only deals 1 to a Nexus. So I still think it's a solid card. I just don't think it's extremely busted, and you just throw it as a 3 of in most Bilgewater decks. So feels good. Decimate, I don't get. Decimate's now 6 mana. Yes, I know. J Synergy, Lux Synergy, Wowee, whatever. I don't think they needed to. If they were going to nerf Riptide Sermon, I don't think they should have nerfed Decimate as well. It just feels like it's too much against aggro. Sure, I too hate aggro, but it has its place in the meta. Maybe there's a funny meme that could even perhaps be a real deck with like some kind of Jace deck. Like Noxus, PNZ, slower kind of mid-rangey burn. Pharaoh's Financiers can find Decimate 2 now, and then you use Jace to try to double the Decimates. That sounds cute, but it doesn't sound good. And our next card, Harrowing, not much to talk about with this. It's up to 10 mana. Don't really think it needed a nerf, but whatever. Red Gwen, Katarina, Elise is basically what got this card nerfed. While I don't think it needed a nerf, it did feel like just a too free of a card to cast a lot of time. Just felt like yeah, okay, sure, you don't have a way to stop Harrowing. I win the game now. GG. So I like it going up to 10. It used to actually be 10 mana. They buffed it up to 9 a long time ago, in fact. Not many people played it at 10 mana, though. Maybe we'll go back to seeing no play. And our Shurima nerf, Rite of the Calling. Rite of the Calling is now 1 mana. I like it. Not much to talk about with it here. Going up to 1 is fine. I still think it's a playable card. It's just not a, oh no, they have 0 mana. Do they have Rite of Calling, or whatever? So I like it. It's a solid nerf. Does hurt some decks a little bit, but I don't think it really hurts them too much. Like actions, infinite action decks are fine. Zillion's fine. Honestly, with the pirate burn nerfs, Sun Disc seems even better than it was before, so don't really think it hurts Shurima too much. and Targon's Peak, just up to 6 mana. Targon's Peak wasn't really a good deck. It always seemed to have like a 52% win rate or something, I'd say, when with the good players overall. But I'm a fan of nerfing this card. I don't like this card. I don't like that it seems to be on the verge of competitive play, because I feel like if ever Targon's Peak becomes tier 1 or even high tier 2 and we become a Targon Peak meta, that'd be awful. And our next card, Timelines. Timelines up to 2 mana. I mean, I would prefer them to just delete this card from the game, but I'll accept this nerf. Biggest thing to notice or take note of with this nerf is it's no longer a guarantee to actually resolve anymore. Basically, Ionia can nopify this now, which if Timelines is popular, and I'm playing Ionia, I'll probably start slotting in 3 nopifies, perhaps. We've done it before, back when Go Hard was a thing. And a few more buffs. Eula, kind of a rework here. Used to be she would just give an ally Spell Shield and Overwhelm for the round. Now I believe it's a grant. But she only grants Spell Shield or Overwhelm to a unit. And if she doesn't grant it to a unit, she grants it to herself instead. I think this is a pretty big buff. Who wants this though? Pantheon decks, I guess. You could say Lee Sin, but Lee Sin Targon just is whatever. I'd rather play Lee Action mostly, but maybe this can breathe some life back into Lee Targon. Paper Tree got buffed too. Now, it used to just grant the unit +1/+0. Now it grants the attachment +1/+0. Overall, it's a buff, sure, but I don't think Paper Tree is still worth it. I feel like it's just too slow and doesn't bring enough value. So, not a fan of it. Shrieking Spinner. It's okay. Some people don't even know this card is a thing. Used to just be a 2/5 grant spider allies +1/+0. Now it's a 2/4. And it gives the spiders +2/+0, but it's only a temporary buff, while the old one was a permanent buff. Feels like it's trying to be like a more of a finisher, if that makes sense, but I don't know. I don't think this is what spiders need to become a real deck. Now this card. I want this card to be real, but it's not. Ritual of Renewal used to be 7 mana, heal 7, draw 1. Now it's 4 mana, heal 4, draw 1. The rate on this card is just so slow. Compare this card to Health Potion, which is not even a main deckable card, but Health Potion is a 1 mana, heal anything for 3 at burst speed. So you could play that in combat. For an extra 3 mana, you're getting 1 extra health and a card draw. And you have to go down to slow speed. I'm not playing this. Like, the nice thing is, I guess it's okay if you get it generated from Karma, but it just doesn't feel like a good card. I'd rather, like, comparing this to other similar cards like Star Shaping, I'm just not a fan. Okay, now Ripper's Bay. Oh boy, Ripper's Bay. I don't think this card is going to become a top tier card, but I'm ready to lose to like some weird meme, Pike meme, that's using Ripper's Bay. Now Ripper's Bay, it used to be Ripper's Bay said it would basically check the top of your, when you attacked, it would check the top of the card, or the top of the deck, and if the card was a non-lurker, it would basically obliterate it. Now it says when the allies attack, the top card, if it's a unit, basically gets lurk and becomes a lurker. So it helps to guarantee lurk. I've seen some people saying like, wow, you can now play Pike outside of lurk. And I'm like, I don't think this will really make non-Rek'Sai Pike decks a thing. I look at this card kind of like Scargrounds, a build around landmark that if you don't draw in the early game kind of sucks, and this also really sucks if you draw it in the late game. Like, you want to have one of these and only ever see one of these, and you want it on turn 1. Maybe turn 2, I guess, if you attack on 1. So I'm not a big fan of this card, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some kind of lurk deck will become a thing. And our other Swain buff, the Leviathan buff. Leviathan's now 7 mana. It's pretty good. A mana discount. It's now a 5/7 instead of a 5/8. Sure, gets a discount on mana, but loses a health. Whatever. Not like it's going to change much, in my opinion. Now, though, instead of dealing 3 at the start of the round, it only deals 2. So it doesn't stun as many things when you have leveled up Swain, and it also doesn't help level up Swain as quickly. But I feel like by turn 7, you probably want your Swain to be leveled up. Leviathan's problem always, or has been for a long time, is that it's just a little too slow at 8 mana. I think going to 7 mana will help solve that problem. Not completely, but hey, it might do something alongside the Swain buff, of course. At Magical Journey, basically now, instead of getting 3 chimes on random cards, you now only get 1 chime, but on the top card. Kind of like Esmus and Bird do. Seems solid. Not really sure I want this card in my deck. Basically, I'm spending mana to get a unit that comes down later, plus a chime. Not a fan of that, so not sure I like this card, but it's probably better than the old version. And Caretaker, it's now 4/5, not much of a change here. Being able to survive 4 damage spells is nice. You know, current Riptide Sermon, Ravenous Flock is pretty good. So overall, a solid buff, but I don't think it's that good. Maybe like a Nora Tristana go wide deck, perhaps. Rock Bear, it's whatever. Like these 2 buffs here, it's whatever. 5/5 Rock Bear is like, yeah, so what? Like 5/4 Rock Bear is not terrible. Like 5/5 is not terrible stats, but it's okay. Maybe like a Malphite deck or some Talia Ziggs can come back. And then Funsmith, this is just a filler. Like that's all I look at with this buff. Why? Is my question. Like, I feel like they just buffed Funsmith, made it 1/3, made it go from a 1/3 to a 2/3. It's like, yeah, we just need another buff. Just give +1/+0 to Funsmith. Kind of wish it just had like 1 more health instead, like was it 0/4 or something, but yeah, I just never see why you would ever play Funsmith when Catalyst especially exists nowadays. And Mammoth Shaman, not much to talk about here, just got +1/+1. Maybe Freljord Overwhelm would play this. Problem with this card is it does fight for the 6-drop slot in Overwhelm with Alpha Wildclaw, the 6 mana 7/6 Overwhelm. So maybe? I'm not sure. I don't think you play this over Alpha Wildclaw. And then our last buff, last change. Windsinger is now a 3/3. It used to be a 4/3, now it's a 3/3, but it got the elusive keyword on it. Okay. I don't really understand the point of this. Like, they're trying to say like it's a tempo card, but I always play, the few times I played this card, I played it more as a control card and Feel the Mina, basically Feel the Rush with Ionia. Because, you know, it's expensive. It's like it's a 6-drop with Will of Ionia on it. I don't really see how adding elusive is going to change much. Maybe with the Sign-In nerf, you play it in the 6-drop slot for more aggressive Ionia decks, but even then, that doesn't feel that great. And then our last couple of things in the balance patch. We got a new Zoe skin. Looks very nice. The artwork's very beautiful. Also got a Garen skin, too. Also looks pretty solid, and I believe that's it. Just some, like, standard bug fixes and some stuff about competitive and whatever. Cool, I guess. It's nice. This change right here fixed an issue with darkness and mirror matchups and incorrectly showing the amount of damage dealt. That's actually pretty nice. I've definitely played some games where neither me nor my opponent really remembered how much damage our darkness was doing because of this bug showing the incorrect amount of damage. And I believe that is it for the changes. So yeah, overall a nice patch, I'd say, if it weren't for the fact that Nami just made it through unscathed. I really am afraid of, like, Nami. Plunder also didn't get through unscathed, but I think Plunder is still good too, and Plunder kind of started to show up because of Nami and other such things. Maybe Plunder will stay around too. Plunder just seems really solid now. Riptide Sermon's not a dead card, so Plunder will probably still keep playing it anyway, in all honesty. So yeah, I think overall, good balance patch, but just scared of Nami and Nami meta, Nami seasonal. I'm pretty sure the last seasonal was Nami seasonal, and we're going to get another Nami seasonal. I really, really hope I'm wrong, and I really hope that Nami is not everywhere and the best deck in the game and nothing's even close, but I honestly could see it. Feels like the upcoming tournaments are gonna just be a bring 3 decks that lose to Nami and always ban Nami kind of tournaments. Now for us ladder players, that kind of sucks though, because on ladder you're just gonna see Namis all the time. But I don't know, maybe Tom Kench can do something, maybe Leona or Yi or Swain can do something against Nami. I don't really have confidence in them doing anything against Nami, but I would love to be proven wrong. Anyway, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'd love to hear your opinion on this balance patch. What do you think of it? Do you like it overall? Overall, I like it. Is there anything that was buffed or nerfed that you don't like, or anything that's just missing that you wanted to see nerfed? Like Nami. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you all again once more for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you guys liked the video, I'd love it if you'd leave a like or a comment down below. Always helps me out and always helps out the channel. And if you want to keep up with the Legends of Runeterra content, you can always go and subscribe to the channel as well. Also, if you want to watch me play some Legends of Runeterra, you can go and check me out over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Zenatan, where I stream pretty much every single day. Gonna be playing a lot of the game actually in these upcoming few days because of this balance patch. In fact, and trying out some of these buff cards like Leona and Swain and Yi and more. Anyway, though, with that all said and done, thank you all again once more for watching this video, and until I see you guys in the next one, bye!